Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Amanda Porterfield. First-degree murder charges against a Champaign man have been dropped. The fair will be Tuesday, June 10th through Sunday, the 15th. And despite financial woes, the price of admission will remain $1 to get in. To sign up for health insurance under the Affordable Care Act is just days away, and some organizations are offering extended hours to help people sign up. Well, looks good.
Ask her, is it good?
I know, is it good? Yes.
Yeah, okay.
You're going to finish that after we go to the next story.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks, Maggie.
She was taken by it, I think.
She was like, wow, that was good.
Oh, that's pretty good. Can I just be done?
I know.
Keep going. I'm not talking about it. All right, that's good to see. All right, well, you know what? The Big Ten basketball schedule is out. In fact, John Gross talking about that.
A lot of people excited about that. Also tonight, just out today, Illinois football is ranked, and it has something to do with their play. Teachers say when they approved the contract here at Centennial, the room erupted in applause. Dave, tomorrow these streets will be full of students coming to campus for the first time. U of I police will be stepping up patrols like they do every year. Well, Jennifer, instead of the treadmill, a lot of runners call these machines the dreadmill. That's because being outside is ideal for marathon training, but a lot of people haven't had that option this year. And officers say it doesn't matter which way people are traveling, north or south, they find an equal amount of those issues on both sides. People in more than 1,000 homes and businesses were without power for several hours, and some say they heard a loud boom just minutes before it went out. Witnesses say the victim was standing right across the street near a crowd of people who were arguing. That's when someone came from the other side of the street, started shooting, and now behind me there's a memorial where the 15-year-old died. Now police say the bullet hit 15-year-old Junisha Cummings in the head. She was rushed to Carl Hospital where she was pronounced dead. Now tonight, family members came back to the scene where it happened. We talked to the victim's aunt, who had been with her just 15 minutes before she was shot. She says she left to pick up her own kids and told her niece she would be right back. And when she did, Cummings was gone.
She was a happy little girl. She just loved life. She was going to church, you know, and I just can't believe she's gone as soon. She's only 15 years old, and people now got to understand we got to keep our kids in the house, or somebody got to do something about all this violence, and it's right here on this corner.
Neighbors say there's a war going on between two sets of teens, and it's caused a lot of violence on this street. Right now, police say no suspects have been arrested, but Decatur police are investigating this shooting, and they're urging anyone with any information to call Crime Stoppers. Live in Decatur, Amanda Porterfield, WCIA3, your local news leader.
And Amanda, I noticed that sign that says area under video police surveillance. Hopefully they had a camera going. Maybe they'll see something come out of that.
We have not heard from police whether any of this was caught on camera, but Jennifer, I talked to many people in this neighborhood, and they hope that something is done about this violence soon. I'm Amanda Porterfield. 2 shootings on State Street in just 2 days. In this latest one, a teenager got hurt. It happened around 9:30 last night near Eureka and State. I went out there and talked to neighbors who planned to put a stop to it. Lights, police, caution tape, gunshots, all things that usually make people go inside and lock their doors, but not the Youngs.
We were just sitting in our house watching TV, and we heard what initially I thought was fireworks. My husband came down to see what was going on.
After realizing it was a shooting and that a 16-year-old boy was injured, they didn't shy away. Instead, they started directing traffic.
This is our neighborhood.
This is a very good neighborhood. There's children here. We're close to a school. There's nice people here. This isn't the neighborhood that it was 15 years ago.
The Youngs live right on the corner of Eureka and State. Police say that's where 2 men wearing hoodies walked up and shot the teen. A shooting worse than the one that happened the night before. Just a few blocks away, cars exchanged gunfire and ended up riddling 2 houses with bullets.
We worked hard to make this a nicer place for everyone to live, and it's just making it bad for the good, hard-working, honest people who live here. We formed a neighborhood watch and chased off a lot of the prostitutes.
They haven't had a neighborhood watch meeting in years because things started to get better. But now, after 2 shootings in 2 days, the Youngs say they're going to start again.
Tuesday, we're going to go to the city and see what we could find out about the houses that we know that are infested.
So you're not going to give up?
No. You can't do that or they win.
Well, because of the harsh winter, a small neighborhood in Urbana says they've been battling broken pipes. They believe the pipes froze and broke during the winter, and after 5 months, they still haven't been fixed. The constant flow of H2O is growing pretty unpopular on Water Street.
This is fresh, clean, treated water that is pouring by the hundreds of gallons into a storm sewer.
Christina Nordholm is remodeling this old house from top to bottom.
It has a lot of charm, and the price was right.
And that price has doubled since she bought it 5 months ago. She says she noticed her neighbors' flooded lawns then, but didn't think anything of it.
Month after month, while they were having trouble and I was being sympathetic, that water was creeping its way toward my house.
Water soaked the ground around it, weakening the foundation, and creeped into her crawl space. Nordholm says she spent $4,000 building a dam to stop it from sinking into the ground.
December, January, February, March, now we're into April. 5 months of flooding. That's a lot of heartache and trouble and bother.
The city of Urbana says they came to check out the problem and found that it's something Illinois American Water has to fix, but they believe the cause is pipes that froze and burst underground. Nordholm says she's called too, but that water company workers came out, couldn't find the broken pipe, and gave up. Her neighbors have taken desperate measures to find it.
I'm very upset about it, and I feel frustrated. I think there's some discrimination against my neighborhood, and that bothers me a lot too. I have the feeling that they just don't think it's a very big priority.
Besides getting it fixed, the people here hope to get the time and money they've spent back.
They're split pebbles.
Until then, Nordholm is hoping the fun parts of remodeling can keep her going. Now, we did call Illinois American Water, left a message, and are still waiting to hear back. Out of the hundreds of kids ready to compete tonight, almost none of them have met as many hurdles as Morel Plotner.
I just wanted a chance to do something I haven't been able to do yet.
Plotner has been on St. Joseph High School's team for a while, but hasn't run.
I'm the inspiration, the mentor, I'm basically kind of like almost the mama bear, but I'm the same age as them.
She's only 15 years old and has already beaten leukemia, met Justin Bieber, and now will run the 60-meter dash.
I don't know if I'll be able to do another one, but I'm just focusing on this one and this one only.
Like many of these students, she's been preparing for this race.
It's my first race for my high school season and my first and last, and I don't want to disappoint anyone, but not even disappoint myself either.
Plotner made a deal with her dad. If she practiced, she could compete. Her mom was so nervous she didn't even come to the race. That's because Morel is still battling. She has a disease that makes it hard for her joints and lungs to function and hasn't been at school for months for fear of getting sick.
I feel 100% better. It's just sometimes breathing is difficult.
But lined up next to her peers with a whole community behind her, she's doing it anyway.
I just listen to music and let my heart go.
And for Morel Plotner, it's not about being the best or the first. It's about finishing.
I want them to feel inspired that you can do whatever you want to do as long as you set your hopes to it.
Made a choice, never be able to fix.
This was Asia Wright's face just a day after the crash that changed her life and killed her younger cousin. After a few surgeries, she's recovering, physically at least.
I broke my collarbone, my head's swollen on the side. I got liver and spleen lacerations. We were all real good friends, all of us. And I know that none of them would ever want anything to happen to each other.
Wright and 3 others were riding in this Jeep. They were headed to the country to hang out at a familiar spot called Brunsonville. Wright says the driver, Jake Erickson, wasn't paying attention for just a second. He went off the road, tried to correct it, and all 4 of them were ejected.
I remember hitting the roof. I don't remember any of the conversations or any of the roads we were on until I hit the roof. But I remember hitting the roof, and then I don't remember anything after that.
Wright says they'd been to this area dozens of times and knew Erickson well.
I knew that he had been drinking, but I didn't know to what extent. I trusted, everybody's judgment. I made the decision to get in that vehicle, and I got to live with it.
But Wright says no matter who it is, that trust is gone now that her younger cousin is dead. Nicole Harris, who Wright says wasn't drinking, died in the wreck. Wright says she hadn't seen Nicole in months because she was busy at cosmetology school.
She was going to go far. She knew what she wanted in life and she was going for it.
Because of this, Wright may be blind forever in one eye, but sees value in warning others about making one bad decision.
If I know that they're drinking and they're going to drive, I'll try to stop them. I'll do anything I can, and I won't drive. I don't drink anymore.
When Caleb Roach told his parents he wanted to be an organ donor, they had no idea what that really meant.
It's our son's final request. As parents, you can't just ignore that.
Just 2 months later, the 20-year-old was killed in a motorcycle crash. They were initially told the trauma of the accident was too great to donate his organs, but learned that a small part of his eye tissue, the cornea, could be saved.
We couldn't believe that we could actually smile on that day, but we had so much gratitude that we could actually do the donation.
At that same time, Cindy Lola, who lived hours away, was struggling with a degenerative eye disease.
There were times when I literally couldn't see my children in the backyard playing. They were just blobs.
A transplant was the only option, a solution that brought Lola a lot of guilt.
I knew that during that time somebody was going to lose their life, and I would be the beneficiary of that. That is a very emotional place to be.
That's why when Sheila Walters wrote to Cindy Lola, she didn't get a response until 4 years later.
When I got her very first letter, which I got several months after my transplant, the first line of her letter said my son's name was Caleb. I literally fell on the floor and just wept for hours.
She just wasn't ready for how much they had in common.
I also have a son named Caleb, and my son also died. I couldn't even begin to process what that meant.
But now, nearly 7 years after Caleb's death, these families have embraced what connects them, become close friends, and healed together.
I feel like I have known them my entire life. It's been such an overwhelming blessing that in the midst of such deep, dark sorrow and grief for both of us.
They traveled together to the Rose Bowl parade to celebrate Caleb. His face was next to dozens of others in the U.S. who've made the choice to donate life, hoping to help the thousands who die each year waiting for a donor.
We're all going to leave a legacy of some kind. It's just a matter of what legacy that you're going to leave behind.
Caleb was just a few weeks from starting the police academy before he died. While he can't leave that legacy, his parents say with a simple decision, he's left one that's just as good.
I'm really proud.
In Champaign, Amanda Porterfield, WCIA3, your local news leader.
That's my youngest. I don't know if I can find my oldest.
If there's anything that can get between a mother and her child, it's an addiction. Even though he lives right down the street, Tammy Scrimmager hasn't seen her youngest son in 4 years.
I miss my kids.
That's because for more than a decade, every day of her life has pretty much started and ended
much better
the same way.
I don't want to wake up in the mornings anymore. I'm tired of looking at myself in the mirror, knowing everything I've done to everybody that had tried to help me in the beginning. I just want to be normal again.
When we first met Tammy, she didn't want to show her face or use her real name, embarrassed of what she's become. Why are we using a different name today?
Because I've been doing this for so long, and I'm very well known in the drug community, and a lot of them might think that you're telling on them, and that's not something that you want. And plus, I don't want to be cut off. I don't want to be cut off completely.
Cut off from using heroin?
Right, and being able to get it, yes.
After a few months,
any other day,
she decided to let us follow her to see what a life controlled by heroin is like.
Come on. I don't always have money when I wake up in the morning, you know? It sucks. How am I going to degrade myself today? I've stolen, I've prostituted. Just about anything you can think of a drug addict would do to get money, I've done it.
This particular day, she actually had money.
It's just a waiting game.
And started calling her dealers at 8 a.m.
Hey, it's Tammy.
She got in touch with one of them.
Hey, I got $20. Can I come see you, please?
An hour later at 9 o'clock.
I just exist. I mean, you're not living a good life. It's not a life to live.
And by the end of the day, she'd done this 3 more times, spending a total of $80 on heroin. something she does every single day.
I maintain right now. I don't get high anymore. It's not fun for me or anything. I do it to maintain so I'm not sick, just so I can get through a day and function.
Tammy says she knows she needs help.
I mean, I'm not going to make it much longer. Emotionally, physically, mentally, I'm not.
But without insurance and almost nowhere to go, she's losing hope. Do you think one day you'll die from heroin overdose?
Probably. I'd say 90%, yeah.
It's hard to get to know Tammy Scrimmager, but if you look at her arms, they'll tell you exactly who she's been for the last 13 years.
I'm a heroin addict.
Tammy's tried rehab a few times, but says the vomiting, cold sweats, and other side effects of stopping are just too much.
I am getting to the point where either I'm going to have to start using my feet or the main jugular in my neck, which I have done a couple times.
The only answer is detox.
Hi, I was calling to see if I could get put on your waiting list.
Throughout several days, she made call after call to find a place, but was turned away.
I don't have insurance.
As for the centers that don't require insurance,
Yeah, she said start calling tomorrow.
And she did, to put her name on a list for an open bed hours away.
It's a shame that a lot of these places aren't open 24 hours. Right now in Champaign County, there's very limited resources.
The Prairie Center used to have both inpatient detox and rehab in one building.
We lost a little over $1 million since 2008 when we've lost 26 staff.
For an addict like Tammy, that's tough because just making the choice to pick up the phone is critical.
When they call for help, you try and move on them as fast as you can because they waver.
Hi, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
We introduced Tammy to Tony Comtois. He's been clean since July 6, 2006.
I have it on the license plate like one of my vehicles, It's a day I'll never forget. It's just a day when I kind of woke up, come out of a fog.
Comtois got help at the Prairie Center, and since the detox closed, he helps other addicts get out of that fog. He drives them to other centers across central Illinois.
It puts a strain on the recovery community, but it's made the recovery community stronger in the same sense, I think. Not everybody makes it, but it'd be nice to have the chance to go somewhere to make it.
You can't take your own blanket or pillow.
After 4 days on the waiting list, a detox center in Rockford called Tammy back.
Because they'll go through it. I'm ready to go. I know I can do it again. This time, I've lost everything.
Within a few hours, she packed her bags and we got on the road.
I know it's not going to be easy. It never was before.
But about halfway there, the center called.
Hello?
Told her the bed wouldn't be ready until the next morning. By this point, time was ticking and she was on the edge of giving up. So we kept going, stayed overnight, and headed to Rosecrans the next morning. Just before walking in, she broke down, thinking about her son.
That I think about him every day. And I never stopped loving him.
But eventually, she went inside. A long but short walk so few stuck on heroin get to make.